Thanks for joining Barn 4 Sports. I'm your host, Michael Tiller. Today's guest is Paul Madden. Paul's the assistant trainer for Brendan Walsh Stables, and the fall meet here at Keeneland cranks up Friday. And Paul, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
All the way from County Cork, Ireland is where you were born and raised.
Correct, yes.
Tell me about it. Tell me how it all got started over there with you as a child.
Well, I've actually been away from home longer than I've been there. I left home when I was 15 to go to the jockey school. But yeah, I grew up in a rural village in Ireland called Liscarroll, which is in County Cork, and I did school badly for a while. It's never really what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be involved in racing. My dad, they had a bar and restaurant. Horses are a big deal over there. Races are on in the bar. People are betting and watching, and it's Ireland it's unique in the sense that there's someone in your locality that is either a jockey or a trainer or so. There's racing everywhere there.
Right.
Especially where I'm from, it's quite a big area. Well, not a big big horse population. Necessarily it's not a big area, but so yeah, it was something I was always liked. I did some pony club stuff, and we used to go to a lot of races with mom and dad. Him and his buddies had a syndicate. They'd have one or two steeplechase horses, which is obviously a big deal over there. So yeah, I had the bug from an early age, and then I actually left school when I was 15 to go to the jockey school which is in Kildare, which now the hours I work, sometimes I regret that. I wish my parents had told me to stay in school.
So you had aspirations of becoming a jockey?
I did ride, yeah, for a while, Mike. But
over there when you were 15, and that lasted up until maybe what age?
Well, I went to the jockey school when I was 15, and I probably rode my first race when I think I was like 17 maybe, or 18. Yeah, and then I went to England for 5 years, and I rode in some races over there as well. But I kind of realised that after 3 or 4 years of doing it, that I wasn't going to be successful. So, and then I actually went back home to my parents had, as I said, had a business at a bar and restaurant. I actually went back home and kind of helped them out with that for about 2 or 3 years. The business was getting busier, but help was short, so I kind of helped him out. And then I didn't really like doing that, but I always wanted to. I still did a little bit of horses. I used to ride out in the morning then, but most of what I did was kind of helping my parents. But then I had a friend of mine that was over here. He was actually in Fairhill, Maryland, up in the Mid-Atlantic, and he said, "Why don't you come to America for a bit?" So I said I'd come for 6 months or a year, and that was 15 years ago.
And you've been here ever since?
Yeah, I've been here since June 2007, yeah.
Okay, when you arrived over here, did you go to Maryland?
Yes, so there's a big training centre, Fairhill. That's where like Michael Matz, Graham Motion, Barbaro, Union Rags, Graham Motions, Animal Kingdom. There's been a lot of
did you start exercise riding?
Yeah, I was just basically a Gallop Eye exercise rider there. Yeah.
Okay.
I worked for Bruce Jackson initially, and he was training, and now he has a big kind of rehab centre up there, which is a big deal. He's got hyperbaric chambers and saltwater spas and all that. He does mostly rehab stuff now. And then I did some kind of my last 3 years there were with Michael Matz, and I was there with when Union Rags was there.
Okay, cool.
Which was cool. And then from then I ended up in Lexington, I think in April of 2013, I think.
And you were still, when you made your way to Lexington, you were still exercise riding at the time, mainly?
Yeah. Yes, pretty much, yeah. That's kind of all I was doing. Yeah, I came up here, and then I did some farm work. I'd ride out at the track in the mornings, and then I was working out at Blackwood Farm, which is now a very established facility here. It was actually just starting out then. But I had known Brendan from my couple of winters in Florida, and had great respect for him, personally and professionally, and seeing that, so then kind of branched into his operation from there.
So you went from exercise riding for multiple people here for 3 or 4 years, and then you got the phone call from Brendan.
No, I actually called him.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You called him to see if maybe they needed some help
Yeah, well, I was just going back a little bit. When I was at the farm at Blackwood, they used to start a little later, so I would have time. At this stage now, I'm still just galloping, exercising horses. I would get on some horses for Brendan in the mornings, and I just kind of seen that he was someone that was going somewhere. So I thought it was, if I was ever going to go back to the racetrack and do something in a little bigger capacity, like being a foreman or an assistant, I thought if I was ever going to do it for anyone, I'd like to do it for Brendan.
Yeah. So you give Brendan a call, and did he say right off that, yeah, come on, join the team, or he said, I'll get back with you?
No. To be fair, he was. He said to me, he said, yeah. He said, look, people like you that could still ride and have a lot of horsemanship, experience in that line. Maybe not necessarily as an assistant, because there's a lot more to learn, But the basic horsemanship side of it, I had a lot of experience. So he's like, Paul, people like you are hard to come by. So he's like, absolutely, love to have you on board.
Yeah, and Brendan, does he still get up on some horses in the morning, or has he let that go a little bit?
No, probably it's been a few years. He gets on the pony every set. We have a stable pony, yeah. So I mean, he gets pretty much, he rides the pony pretty much every set.
Okay.
But he galloped up until about 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Now, he would be selective, obviously, in what he got on.
Right.
Now, initially, when he started training, he would, obviously, because you're starting out and keeping costs at a minimum, and you have a smaller stable, he would do a lot of it himself.
Yeah. And so you started with the role with him, and I would say that be considered assistant trainer.
Correct.
Right now, and then he'll keep two other guys, Charlie Lynch and Roger, are with him. So he's got 3 assistants.
And Brent Wilson as well.
And Brent Wilson, so that's 4.
And then Rachel Wade as well. She's
okay.
She's pretty much, she does a lot. Rachel does a lot.
Yeah.
She's kind of office manager, and she does some.
Yeah.
She's actually now down at Ellis Park. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So and I know y'all play a big role in the success of that stable. You make your way down to Ellis Park during the summer meet for a string of his horses, and then you're back, of course, for Keeneland. And then not too long after the Breeders' Cup, you'll make your way down to the fairgrounds to take care of a string of horses for him at the fairgrounds that you've done for several years now, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think this is my sixth winter. Yeah, I'm coming on my 6th winter going down there. Yeah, so I'm there pretty much from. I'll go after Breeders' Cup, so I'm kind of there first week of November all the way through after Louisiana Derby, which is typically right at the end of March.
Okay, and then about how many horses will he take to fairgrounds each year?
Around 30, yeah.
Okay.
We are barn. Sometimes you might start off with a little more, it'll fluctuate a little bit, yeah. But it's kind of pretty consistent around 30.
Okay, are you the only one down in fairgrounds, or do you have the other couple assistants? Are they down there?
No, they're kind of spread out as well, because
Okay.
he does keep a couple of other strings for the winter. One being in Florida, and Charlie is there, and then Brent, with the money in Kentucky now, he kept a string last year in Turfway, and then which he will again this year, and that's where Brent will go.
Okay. So. Cool. So, and you'll get on horses down at the fairgrounds quite often in the mornings too. Also, as far as exercise riding some of his stock down there, right?
I don't do as I kind of the last 6 months or a year. I actually don't get on that many horses anymore. I used to, but now. Brendan typically, he likes his assistants, not necessarily, depending on the circumstance, but not to ride, because, there's a lot to do when you see a lot more if you're either on the ground or on a pony, because
right.
Especially if you have 4 or 5 horses in a set, which we typically do. If you're riding one, then you only see one,
right.
So it's hard. So you have a better picture of how all horses are going if you're, as I said, either on the ground watching them or on a pony.
Right. Now, will you talk to Brendan on a daily basis after the morning sessions are done with the works and just day-to-day
absolutely
upkeep with the horses? You'll check in with him at 11 or 12 or whatever and go over the list? Yeah,
exactly. So typically, most of our the preparation for the next day is done the evening before. So all our lists are done, like, what we call our set list is what horses go at what time and with what riders. That is all prepared the day before.
Right.
So, then you come in the morning, all them lists are done. All the riders know what what horses they're going on, what equipment they're going in. I get in the morning, check all the horses. Then I will check in with Brendan, usually around 5, just saying, it's maybe only 2 or 3 minute conversation. Yeah, everything is fine, everything's healthy, no issues to report, and he'll just go through some basic stuff for that day to do with the training side of it. And then typically, unless we run into an issue, I wouldn't really talk to him then till everything is done, and then he will call and we will go through every horse. Every
right,
day.
right. And I know a lot of these trainers, they get a lot of the credit, but in the background, a lot of the assistants, are really important to a trainer, and they make the wheel go a lot of times that people don't know of. Just like a pit crew in NASCAR is very important, and I know his assistants are really important, and I've heard numerous comments on what a great team he has over there.
He has built a wonderful team, yeah. But it's long hours, Mike, and it's demanding. But when you work for somebody that works harder than you do, it's I won't say it's easy, but it motivates you, number one. But you're not going into somewhere and feeling like that. Not that you ever would have the intention of cutting corners or slacking in any way, but that's one thing. He runs a very militant operation, but in a very professional manner.
Right.
So you just go in, what has to be done, and,
right.
and I have heard from some people that, people do speak highly of how he's, and this is all coming from him. He's the one that's setting the bar here.
Right, right.
But that how his operation is run, and that it's very militant and it's very professional, but that's done from him. We are just relaying orders, going on and just keeping the system going.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard that over the years also, and that's he's not. Sometimes that's neat. It's not for everybody to work for somebody like that, and it's not for every player to work for a hard-nosed coach. Sometimes it's just not them, and you find your way somewhere else. But you guys have strung together 5 or 6 really successful years, and I know you've worked hard at it to get to this point, and I know he appreciates what y'all do. And back to some of when you were exercising, riding some of these horses, I know one of the great ones that you were up on a regular basis was Maxfield.
Oh, yeah.
The Godolphin owned.
Yeah, he's pretty much... it's kind of funny because I was saying to Brendan for a while that I don't want to ride these horses anymore, and he said, well, you've got one horse, and it was kind of a funny story. I had some exercise boots that were falling apart, Mike. They were pretty embarrassing, if someone came in the barn and he said, Paul, you need to get a new pair of boots. I said, no, I want to retire. So I actually blackmailed him into buying me a pair of boots because of Maxfield. But he was just an amazing horse to be around. I mean, I still, we're actually talking about him just today. Emma from Godolphin was in, and we were talking about him, and he was, So I don't necessarily miss riding horses, galloping horses, but with horses like him, that was.
And I've been out to the barn several times to visit Maxfield, and such a character, and such a laid back horse, and a gorgeous horse. And a great career. He had a setback with an injury there.
Two occasions.
Yeah, two occasions, and came back to really run well for Godolphin. And I guess Godolphin has been a client of you all's for 3 years now that you picked up.
I think I'm going to. Maxfield was the first year, so he would be. I think it's going into our 4th year of 2-year-olds now.
Yeah,
I believe it is. Yeah.
And I know that's been a good relationship with those people out there at Godolphin Farm. Dan Pride does a really good job. And Michael Banahan and Johnny Burke and Emma, they're great people. And
wonderful.
And hopefully y'all can have continued success in the upcoming future with that farm. And I know you have other nice clients. Stone Street's hopped on board with John Monahan and Hunter Valley Farm. Mark the Temple and some of those guys out there, Adrian Reagan, that have had some really good, successful races with you guys. So the upcoming meet here at Keeneland starts tomorrow. You have 4 or 5 in tomorrow, and then Saturday's the night.
5 tomorrow, and then 3 on Saturday.
And 3 on Saturday. Santine for Godolphin runs back in the Coolmore Grade 1 Saturday after winning the Arlington Million at Churchill. And I did want to ask you, when Santine won the Arlington Million on the turf up there, the turf was somewhat suspect, and they tried to, or they did lay down a new turf last year, and they it seemed like they've caught a lot of flack by that, but that's easier said than done to try to get a new turf up, and it's just taking some time for it. Would you think that Santine would improve off of that turf going over here to Keeneland, or would it make much difference?
Well, I think it's, from what I would take out of the races at Churchill, is that he handled it better than others. More so than, I guess it was more of a disadvantage to others than it was an advantage to him. Coming to Keenan, you're obviously running in a very mature turf course that's been here for a long time. I mean, unless the weather is bad or something and you went into, but it's always a very fair turf course, which he has won over as well. But I don't necessarily think coming out of Churchill to Keenan is going to hinder or improve him in any way. I mean, I think it's I think it'll be fair for other horses as well. But he is a course and distance winner.
Right.
I think which is huge. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Santine, I guess first weekend in November would be planning on running in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always, Mike, with horses, you can't think too far ahead. But yes, I mean, it's the race on Saturday is a win and you're in race. Get off and also have a very good horse that won in Modern Games, that won in Woodbine. So I'm sure he's going to be targeting Breeders' Cup as well. But as I said, and Brendan has always taught me this as well. You can never, obviously you have targets, but Saturday is huge. Get to Saturday, get him there in prime condition, which he certainly appears to be in, and hopefully we can be successful, and then you can start thinking. But yes, I mean, obviously, when you have horses of that caliber, it is the Olympics of horse racing. So that is your target. You have midsummer targets, and then you're thinking, okay, this is where we would like to end up at the end of the year.
Yeah, and you have Tyler Gaffley on back up.
Yeah,
Saturday for that race, and I thought Tyler gave Santine just a wonderful ride in the Arlington Million.
Yeah, and there was only 2 turf races that day, and Family Way, which we were talking about, was long-term clients of Brendan, Fergus Regan, Adrian, or Fergus Galvin, should I say, Adrian Regan, Guitar Racing, Charlie O'Connor, all them guys, and she ran third, but they, I think they learned something from that race that day, and where they thought the best ground would be, and Tyler executed to perfection, which he typically does.
Right, right. And speaking of Family Way, she goes to California this weekend.
She left on Tuesday, yeah.
Left on Tuesday for the Rodeo Drive Stakes Grade 1. And you think that she will prefer the firmer turf out there, or what do you think?
I mean, for sure. I mean, she certainly got form in it. She did actually come from France, and that, initially that's where Fergus bought her from, out of Salem there. But yes, I do think that I think the ground out there will certainly be to her favour.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it seems like she over time has gotten better with age.
Yeah.
For sure. You kind of thought at one time, well, maybe an allowance, maybe a small stake, and continue to get better. And a lot of credit goes to Brendan and his team for that. What do you think the change in her has been to get to this Grade 1 level?
Well, she's got I don't think I'm wrong in saying that she was bought out of a sale. More so for her pedigree than anything, but she came, with she was sound, and let's run her and see where we're at. So I don't think for one, initially when they bought her, that they thought that she would end up running on grade. Obviously, every horse you buy, you want them to be in the top races, but you got to be, sometimes a realist, not an optimist. But it's been amazing, yeah. But Brendan is very good at. He has a system, but with treating some horses as individuals too, and she is he's just found the right what she enjoys training wise, and she really has just blossomed into a beautiful looking filly.
Yeah. What would be the forecast with her after the race Saturday? Any thoughts?
I'm not sure, to be honest. If if you know if they're going to sell her or breed her. I'm not. I'd obviously, Mike, I'd be the wrong person to ask. But once again, it's like what I was just saying with Santine. It's kind of one race. This is the target for now. But for if she was to win a Grade 1, she is Grade 1 place. She's a graded stake winner. If she was to win this, I mean, it's huge. It's for her residual value, for for the family, for the owners, for Brendan. It's just huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I met a lot of you guys out on the golf course, and I've learned so much by just listening. You get around some people, and I consider you guys the best horsemen in the world. And when I tell people that, they kind of look at me strange. But you can't name but so many people that can do the job that you guys do. Like you said earlier, whether it's Adrian Reagan, whether it's Teddy Campion, Gabriel Dunnigan. It's unbelievable.
There's a lot of them in Lexington.
And
our
again,
good friend Dermot Joyce, we have to mention him.
I don't want to forget Dermot over at Springhouse, and Garrett O'Rourke.
Dermot will be on. What time is it? Yeah, he'll be eating lunch now.
And Garrett O'Rourke has played.
Juddmont,
has had a really good career, and we've always called Garrett the human weather delay. He's so slow playing golf. So,
I haven't actually been in the foursome with him, but I have certainly heard that. Yeah, for sure.
But I've learned a lot from you guys over the years just listening, and it's really cool the careers that some of these guys have worked their way into.
Yeah,
but
it's amazing.
And then back to the race, the Grade 1 out at Santa Anita this weekend. Mike Smith gets the mount.
Yeah. I think obviously the colony in California is pretty small, but Rispoli and I think he had some commitments, and obviously you're ending up with Mike Smith, who's one of the great. But a lot of typically on weekends like that, some of the East Coast jockeys will go out there, but with Keeneland on Belmont, Belmont at Aqueduct.
Yeah.
But to be able to get Mike Smith is.
Yeah,
he's ridden. He was. I don't think it was Rodeo. Last Ignair, he rode second in the couple of years ago for Brendan out there, a lovely filly of Pete Bradley's a couple of years ago as well. He was second in might have been the Gamely, actually. I can't remember. It was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was a Grade 1 in the grass. Yeah. So, he's ridden for Brendan before out there,
And, jockeys are so important in this business, and it's so hard to even win a race.
It is,
and you need a lot
don't realize that.
You need a lot of luck. You need a good ride. You need a good break. You need things to go perfect, unless you just have a monster horse for that day. And it seems like Brendan has settled on Tyler Gaffleon here with your stable, and he'll ride Ricardo Santana some, the new cat in town, Chaminade.
French and Chaminade, we've had recent success with him,
he seems like he's an up-and-coming
big time
guy
he's got a very big future here,
that's really had some early success, and I think his Keeneland meet will show a lot of people that. So, but I just wanted to tell you thank you for stopping by, Paul.
My pleasure.
Continued success with the Walsh Stable, a great bunch of guys over there, a lot of good things going on. With some relationships with some farms that you've had success for. And I wish y'all nothing but the best. And I look forward to seeing you out at Keeneland some this fall meet. And hopefully we can jump up and down in the winter circle some.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Mike.
Yep. Thanks for joining us here at Barn 4 Sports. You can follow us on Twitter at the Barn 4 Sports. And we will see you next time.